Welcome, friends. Today's our topic of discussion is William Wordsworth's famous poem, The World is Too Much with Us. This poem is in form of a sonnet written by William Wordsworth, and the title of the poem itself makes us acquainted with the kind of uh, you know uh, struggle that is going on between two forces of human life, particularly nature and science, nature and industrialization, nature and material possession. As we know that William Wordsworth is a famous nature poet, one who has revolutionized English poetry in a romantic period. He has written a treatise of romanticism. When we think of this sonnet, we come to know that this sonnet is being termed as a sonnet of our times. We are living in 21st century. This sonnet has been written at the beginning of 19th century in early 1800s. And even though it has been written in early 1800s, means at the beginning of 19th century, that the sonnet is being termed as a sonnet of our times just because this sonnet is is there to find can say certain kind of a relevance today in the lives of human beings too. When we read Shakespeare's sonnets written on nature and the way Shakespeare has depicted nature over there in his sonnets, in the same way we find that William Wordsworth also depicts nature in his sonnets, as he also belongs to a romantic traditions of English literature, as Shakespeare is being can say seen to be a forefather of this tradition. When we read William Wordsworth, The World is Too Much with Us, we find that the sonnet speaks with surprising relevance today. It has been written in early 1800s, and particularly it mourns humanity's growing disconnection from nature and its fatal obsession with the material possession. Even today, when we read the contemporary poets, those who are writing in various languages, in various can say nations in this world, in a various corners of this world, we find that they are even today expressing the same what William Wordsworth has expressed here in this poem. The world is too much with us. That is disconnection from nature and fatal obsession with material possession. That is the byproduct of science and technology. This poem is in form of the alarm to human society, to humanity at large, to human beings, that they should not run after industrialization, science and technology by disconnecting themselves totally, completely from nature, because it would be a fatal mistake and that would be irrevocable, can say in the future. The loss would be irrevocable if human beings keep themselves disconnected from the nature and keep themselves obsessed with material possession, that is the byproduct of science and technology. William Wordsworth was born in England's Lake District in 1770. He is a founding figure of Romantic movement. He has written a treatise of Romantic movement named Lyrical Ballads in 1798 with his poet friend S.T. Coleridge, and therein he has stated a certain philosophy in lyrical ballads, and that philosophy is of romanticism. He championed nature's power to teach, heal, and elevate the human spirit. The treatise Lyrical Ballad has revolutionized the nature of English poetry, and it is through this treatise Wordsworth has, can say, put forward certain, can say, tenets, certain principles by which English poetry could be revolutionized, and the kind of a, can say, felt need in order to make English poetry reach to the common man. He has stated over there that English poetry should be written in common man's language with emotional sincerity, and only then it can capture the attention of the society at a large. When we look at the historical context of this poem, we come to know that it has been written at the, can say, specific juncture. The dawn of industrialization was taking place in England at the beginning of 19th century, and at that juncture this poem has been written by Wordsworth, giving an alarm to the human society that they should not disconnect themselves totally from nature. They should not be possessed after industrial growth and scientific growth, industrialization, and the material possessions which come up with industrialization and scientific and technical progression. The poem emerged during England's rapid industrialization in the early 1800s. The nature was displaced by factories and machines. Rural life surrendered to crowded and smoky cities. And somewhere this state made the poet feel anguished. And he wrote this sonnet giving a kind of a message to humanity at a large, that what they need to act, what they need to avoid, what they need to choose. They need to choose nature over material possession. They need to choose nature over science and technology. But something different than this was happening, exactly opposite to this. The human society started to run after material possession, and that has been depicted by this poet William Wordsworth in this poem. Materialism and consumerism somewhere swelled in the time in which this poem has been written. Materialism and consumerism somewhere eroded the traditional values of the society and spiritual sensibilities of society. Wordsworth observed all these shifts which were taking place in human society, and somewhere he gave a profound alarm to human society that if this continues further, there may be an irreversible loss of humans' bond with nature. When we see the structure of this poem, we find that it has been written in the form of a sonnet, following Petrarchan tradition. When we read of can say Petrarchan sonnet, we come to know that Petrarchan sonnet is being divided into two parts: octave and sestet. Octave means 8 lines, and sestet means a group of 6 lines. Wordsworth's choice of Petrarchan sonnet is deeply deliberate. The octave of this poem establishes the crisis of the spiritual poverty of modern life, while the sestet means last 6 lines deliver speaker's anguished and desperate reaction. These two parts, octave and sestet, somewhere mirror the tension between the world as it is and the world as it ought to be. When we read octave of the poem, it makes us acquainted with the kind of a changed, can say, world that has been there, that, that has been portrayed by the poet, that this is how the world is, this is how the change, can say, world, the change society is over there. And the rhyming scheme of the octave is ABBA. It, can say, speaks of the problem of materialism and disconnection of a human society with nature. While sustain means the last six lines follow certain rhyme scheme, that is CDC, DCD, and it is a kind of a emotional response, can say a kind of a wish that poet is having with that what kind of a society should be there, how the world ought to be there. This has been stated over there in the sustain of the poem. Now let us read the poem. The world is too much with us. The world is too much with us late and soon, getting and spending. We lay our powers, little we see in nature that is ours. These opening lines of the poem somewhere makes us acquainted with the kind of a change that has come down in the nature of human society. And here he makes us acquainted with the kind of a unwanted change that has come down in the nature of human beings, that this world of, can say, material possession is always with us. We human being always think of material possession. We under the impact of sonnet, science and technology. And in this sonnet he is putting forward at the very beginning of this sonnet that this is how somewhere we are getting and spending. We lay our we lay waste our powers. Somewhere through these two lines, he is making it clear that we human beings are wasting our powers by running after material possessions, materialism, consumerism, and we have become blind to the, can say, treasure that is being found over there in nature. Little we see in nature that is ours, and he makes us acquainted with the fact that we human beings have become blind to the treasure that is in the lap of nature, that is for us, uh, created, produced by nature. We have given our heart away a sordid boon. We have given our hearts away a sordid boon. And somewhere he makes it clear that we have somewhere given our hearts away to the sordid boon. Sordid boon here means the material possession, the scientific progress, the, can say, the byproducts of science and technology. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon. And somewhere now he depicts that the sea is somewhere, showing her bosom to the, can say, moon. Dear friends, the poet is making us acquainted with how the elements of nature as are in harmony, and though we are also part of nature, how we human beings have disconnected ourselves from the other elements of nature. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the wine that will be hollowing at all hours, and are upgathered now like a sleeping flowers. Here he is making us acquainted with the fact that how one element of nature is in a harmony with the other, how they are enjoying, can see each other's company. The sea bears her bosom to the moon. This is the kind of a harmony that has been, can say, been these elements of nature that has been portrayed over here, that is sea and the moon. Wind that will be howling at all hours and are upgathered now like a sleeping flowers. For everything we are out of tune. And he is making it clear that the way these natural elements are in a harmony, we are not even able to understand that harmony. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. And he says that we are not able to understand all these things. We human beings, those who are being dominated by science and technology, we are not able to understand this natural harmony. It moves us not. It is not there to make us feel anything. We have become numb. We are becoming numb to all these, can say sensitive things which take, can say, around us in the lap of nature. Great God, I would rather be a pagan suckled in a creek outworn. And somewhere he wishes, he prays to God that I would like to be a pagan, suckled in a creed unknown. And somewhere he desires to be a worshipper of a love. A pagan means a person, one who worship nature, one who is a worshipper of nature. And the poet somewhere expresses here his strong wish and will to be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn. And though being a, can say, nature worshipper, to worship a nature, that is not a fashion today. That has been somewhere become a out fashion one that poet, can say, depicts over here. But he feels that he wants to be somebody just like a pagan, one who might be termed by this modern world as out fashioned one who is not there to understand the fashion of the society, the contemporary fashion of the society. Pagan struggled in a creed outworn, so might I standing on the pleasant sea. And somewhere he says that I am standing in front of this pleasant sea, just like a pagan, have a glimpses that would make me feel less forlorn. And somewhere he is making it clear that whenever he, can say, looks at the, can say, sea, somewhere he forgets all his, can say, sorrow, all his sadness, have a sight of a Proteus rising from the sea. And he wants to, can say, have a sight of uh, Proteus was a god in the paganism, one who was there to rule the, can say, sea and the other, can say, natural powers. Or hear the old Triton blow his wreathed horn. And somewhere he wants to, can say, have the glimpses of the another pagan god Triton. And this is how somewhere he is making it clear that instead of becoming a person, one who is obsessed by uh, material possession that has been, can say, ampled by science and technology, he would like to be a pagan. His choice would be to be a nature worshipper. He wants to worship nature as pagans were worshipping, just because he knows that only this thing can there to, can say, save the humanity from its, can say, ultimate destruction. And that is why he wants to be in a harmony with all the natural elements. He wants to be a worshipper of nature. Now let us see the analysis of the octave, means the first 8 lines. The first 8 lines of this poem state the problem that is with this world that the poet, can say, observes over there. Line number first and second somewhere talk of the vested powers. He makes it clear that we human beings, under the impact of science and technology, industrialization, we are just getting and spending. Commerce and consumption drain the very energy that should connect us to higher things. Society overwhelms us ceaselessly with late and soon. And this is how he's making it clear that this material possession is a kind of a trap that has been created by science and technology. We are just getting and spending, we are draining away our energies that should connect us with the higher, you can say, things which are being found in nature. But we are not able to do that just because we are running after material possession, we are running after scientific and industrialized, can say, growth and progress. Line number third and fourth make us acquainted with kind of a, can say, boon, a sordid boon that has been, can say, there given to the human beings in form of nature, sorry, in form of science and technology, that disconnects human beings from nature. Sordid boon means a terrible, terrific, destructive, can say, boon. As here he terms this, can say, scientific uh, progress, industrialization as a sordid boon, means a destructive, can say, boon that has been uh, given to human beings. And he makes it clear that we human beings should, can say, recognize the real nature of this sordid boon. We have traded our hearts and spiritual capacity for material gain. This line makes us acquainted with what kind of an exchange that we are making, and the kind of a destructive, can say, choices we are making over there, just because we want to have a material possession, we want to have material pleasures, and we are giving away, we are trading away our spiritual capacity for material possessions and material pleasures. And somewhere he describes this, can say, bargain as a sordid boon, the kind of a bargain that human beings are doing over here in pursuit of material possession and material power, superficially blessing but morally degrading. This is how he makes it clear that this industrial revolution or the scientific revolution is just a superficial blessing, but in actuality, it is a moral degradation. It would be a source of moral degradation. Line number 5 to 8 somewhere makes us acquainted with what the poet has observed, particularly the change in the human society, change in the nature of human society and human beings that has come down, that has made we human beings out of a tune. Nature's beauty and the, can say, moonlit sea, howling winds persist, but humanity remains indifferent to this. He depicts that how nature's, can say, elements are in harmony with each other. That may be sea, moon, and the wind. But he makes it clear to all, can say, readers around and the human society that we humanity are becoming indifferent to all these things. We are no longer in harmony with this natural world, and that is somewhere the kind of a alarm that he is giving to human society, that we should not be out of a tune with nature. And if we remain out of a tune with nature, then the ultimate, can say, destruction of the human society could never be avoided, could never be shunned. Now let us see the analysis of the sustate. Sustate is the reaction to the problem that is before the human society, that has been over there just because of human doings. And the reaction, the is a kind of a, can say, probable solution that the poet is stating over here in this sustate. When we read line number 9 and 10, we find that a kind of a heartfelt wish that poet is, can say, putting forward, and that is the probable, can say, solution over this problem of the human being that has taken place, that is a disconnection from nature and obsession with the material possession and material growth. Shocked by the humanity's spiritual numbness, the speaker cries, great God, and declares that he would rather be pagan than someone attuned to and someone attuned to nature through the ancient belief. Instead of becoming somebody one who is there to run after material pleasure, material possession, he does not want to be somebody one who can say runs after material possession and material pleasure, but he wants to be somebody one who is attuned to nature with the ancient belief. Lines number 11 and 12 somewhere can say depict a kind of a pleasantly. From a simple meadow, this pagan perspective might grant glimpses of nature wonder through to ease the speaker's profound sense of forlornness. And somewhere these lines make us acquainted with the kind of a beauty that is can say stretched over there in every form of nature, particularly meadows that are being found, that are the can say fields of grazing the can say animals. And somewhere he's depicting the can say beauty of that particular can say element of nature, and he's making us acquainted with the kind of wonders that nature is having with, and we have become blind to these wonders just because we are running after material possessions, scientific progress and the things, and we are becoming can say somewhere blind to the treasure that is being found in the lap of nature. Line number 13 and 14, he makes the can say us acquainted with paganism, and particularly he gives references to mythological figures of paganism, that is Proteus rising from the sea and Triton blowing his horn symbolize a living divine nature that modern society can no longer possess. And this is how in the last two lines he is making us acquainted with the fact that now we human beings are becoming blind to the divine nature. Here, his references to mythological figures, Proteus and Triton, somewhere make us acquainted with the fact that we human beings are disconnecting ourselves from divinity that is being found in nature. We are, can say, running away from, can say, a divine nature, and that is somewhere, can say, a thing of a repentance that poet is highlighting over here through this poem. When we explore what are the key themes of the poem, we come to know that the first key theme is disconnection of human beings from nature, and this is the central, can say, lament in this poem. Modern life severs our innate bond with natural world that has been stated over here, and as and how we human beings are getting disconnected from nature that has been portrayed over there. The struggle between materialism and spirituality, that is one of the key theme of the poem. The poet is making it clear that now human beings are running after materialism, neglecting spirituality, and somewhere they are on the verge of making irreversible loss to human society. The next theme in the poem that has been explored, that is power of a nature. Here, the power of nature is being depicted in form of a sea, moon, and wind. And the next theme that has been explored over there, that is of a loss of wonder. We human beings are somewhere losing the can say a uh, 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 power of wonder. We human beings are not there to can say feel uh, that there are certain wonderful things around can say us in human society, and somewhere this loss of can say wonder that has been uh, portrayed over here. The progress does the capacity for awe, the most tragic cost of a modernity that has been can say somewhere depicted by the poet in this poem. When we read the poem, we find that certain literary devices have been used by the poet, particularly certain figures of speech. like personification, simile, allusion, and he has also used imagery in order to, can say, make this poem impregnant with the meanings. The first figure of speech that has been used over here is that is personification. The sea is being personified as a feminine, can say, living being, living presence. Uh, Similarly, the next figure of speech has been used over there in the uh, in in uh, in the line up gathered now like a sleeping flowers. Vines are compared to the flowers. Allusions means references to mythological, can say, figures. Here the references to pagan gods, Proteus and Triton is being given, and there is an invocation of a classical mythology that has been over there, uh, that has taken place through the use of this particular figure of speech. Certain sensory images have been used by the poet, so imagery is being employed in order to make the poem more richer than the others. There are certain sensory images of howling winds, moonlit sea, great god. These are all having with the emotional urgency. When we analyze this poem, we come to know that it is a critique of progress, particularly scientific progress that human beings have done. And somewhere this through this poem, the poet is there to condemn this scientific progress. Scientific this scientific, can say, blind progress, can say, done by human beings. What Wordsworth does not merely mourn, he condemns this, can say, scientific progress of human beings. The progress celebrated by his age brings different brings not fulfillment but spiritual impoverishment. And somewhere he makes it clear that the progress that is being celebrated by his time is a spiritual impoverishment. And he makes it clear that our means obsession of human beings with material gains blinds us to nature's true and enduring values. What industrialism frames as advancement is, in Wordsworth's, can say, words, a catastrophic regression of human soul. The poem suggests that even a pagan worldview, one finds divinity in the world and wave, may be wiser than the materialism of modern civilization. Somewhere the modern progress means the modern scientific progress is being seen as a sordid boon, as a terrible, can say, boon. And the paradoxical, can say, state is being stated through this particular, can say, phrase, that is sordid boon. The, industrial scientific progress is being termed as a sordid boon. And somewhere the poet criticizes the, can say, running after of human society after this sordid boon. And somewhere he suggests that a paganism could be the alternative in order to do away with the, can say, madness that has been prevailed over there in human society to run after material progress and material pleasure, endured by scientific progression and all. The speaker wished to be a pagan circled in a creed outworn, but it is not a literal rejection of a Christianity. On the other hand, it is a kind of a, can say, alarm that has been given to society around, that you should, can say, change the, can say, your way of following material progress and material um, um, uh, pleasures. It is a yearning for a mode of a perception that finds divinity, wonder, living presence, and every natural phenomena instead of a literal rejection of Christianity. The ancient myth gave form and meaning to the society, the wind, meaning to the sea and the wind and the storm, Proteus and Triton were not merely stories. They were a way of a saying. And this is how the can say ancient myth is being used by the poet in order to show that the sea, the wind, and the storm, at least these elements are in harmony with the nature, but we human beings have somewhere lost that harmony, that connection, that can say connection with the nature, and we should be in that. And only can say pagan view of the world can can say be the alternative in order to can say change this regressive can say state of human society, uh, of running after material progress and material pleasures. Somewhere he wants to reconnect human beings with the natural world, and that is why he says that one should be a worshipper of a nature, and that is why he says that great God, I would rather be like to be pagan, suckled in a creed out own. It means he makes it clear that he wants to be a nature worshipper that may look to the human society out of a tune, out of a fashion, but still he wants to be so just because he wants to be nature, can say worshipper and nature, can say lover. And this is how the poet is giving a kind of a message to human society that we should go back to nature. We should can say try to understand what is the divinity, what are the sources of divinity in nature, instead of running after material pleasures which are having with a transient nature. But it is nature and nature's elements which have the can say uh, permanence over there in this world. Thank you, friends. Thanks for watching.